So in the previous episode, I did something that was probably bad for my mental health. I dug out these walls to smooth them out for 24 hours. I did it in 3 sittings. God help me. But we're not done quite yet. I still need to terraform up there a little bit. So continuing off from where we last were, let's terraform. Now, doesn't that look a million times better? Now I can say that the perimeter, exterior, and wall is now completely finished. Except for that. Well, that's a problem for another day. But now, I must tell you a very tragic story. One day, I was building, I honestly can't even remember, something that required a lot of wood, and I opened a chest, and there was no wood left. I was distraught. This was such a tragedy. I needed to figure out a solution so I could get wood faster. So I had 3 options. So either I could just go out and mine like 6 trees and have enough. I could ask other people around the server for any wood at all. Or I can make a massive tree farming district that takes over 12 hours to build, and I do it in 2 sittings. I also had to scour the internet for over 48 hours to find all of the designs that I wanted to, and have all the farms hook up to a blast chamber so it's more TNT efficient. And then because of the new speed, redo the entire main area of the perimeter. I think you know which one I'm doing. So here's what to show after 48 hours of scouring the internet. Now, this tree farming district that I have built up here is actually a combination of like 6 farms. And this is definitely not complete because we don't have a dark oak tree farm or a mango tree farm in this. But for now, this is plenty. So right here, we have a 2x2 spruce tree farm that is also a dirt farm. Now, the way this works is that you would place saplings on these 4 squares here, while in this minecart, it would get bone mealed and it would grow. This moss would turn into podzol, which we push away. And the way that we get this moss is we have a stone generator, which gets pushed over into this, into the main area. And then we have a moss block here, which is bone mealed, which spreads the moss all around. And then we do some crazy redstone magic here where we basically sawmill the tree down into this 1 block stream, and we merge it here with the dirt. And then it goes into the blast chamber, which is just an extremely efficient way to use TNT. To be honest, we could just spam TNT duper and stuff like that, but I thought this A looked cooler, and B, it's more lag efficient, and it's more lossless, so less items are destroyed by the TNT. Now over here we have Ilmango's universal tree farm. This tree farm works with almost every tree type. It works with jungle, oak, spruce, and acacia. Now, I don't know why you would want to use spruce in here when you have that behemoth over there, but I mean, you can if you want. I did a couple of changes so that the on-off switch is actually at this little hub over here instead of right here, and then all the saplings go into this little sorting system here. But besides that, this is basically exactly the same. Now, speaking of this hub area, I have it so you can only have one farm on at a time, because if you have more than one, the blast chamber could easily break. It can't support multiple farms at once. So I have a little switch here, so only one can be on at the same time. So if this pushes down, these push up, so you can't push down the other ones, if that made any sense at all. But next to the Spruce tree farm and the Universal tree farm, we actually have the two mushroom farms, which are right here. This is the brown mushroom farm and the red mushroom farm. These are all pushed into a line and then shot out this way and into the blast chamber. I also have the Nether tree farms right here. I may not build both because it's quite expensive, and you could just replace the nylium on the grounds manually, and it's not that hard, so I might do that. The really cool thing about these farms is that they run completely automatic. You don't need a player. You just turn it on and the farms will run and you'll get wood, the wart blocks, shroom lights. It's a very good farm. But how will we be able to keep up with the amount of bone meal required? Well, I'm glad you asked. Right here we have a bone meal farm, and this automatically turns on when one of the farm requests bone meal. And the way I check that is I see how much bone meal is in a chest. It drops down to a certain amount. Some comparator logic is triggered, and it will push down this piston, which will power the bone meal farm. So yeah, I'm very happy with the way this came out. I got a lot of the ideas from the SciCraft Blitz server. Most of these farms are from there, but I did do a lot of inner workings to have it all connect and work out and have it exactly how I want. All credit will be in the description. But enough lollygagging, let's just start building this up. And here it is, the amazingness that is this tree farming district. Now you may notice this looks a little bit different, as their blast chamber that was here is not what was shown in the time lapse. Well, I had to switch it out for this more safer design with more safety features because it kept breaking with some random unloads because of server crashes, and I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I just rebuilt the blast chamber in this more safer method. There's more detail about the safety measures and how this works on Mango's channel. This is one of his designs. Besides that, this tree farming district is basically exactly the same. So now that it's built up, I can actually show you in a little bit more detail how the farms work by like running them and showing you an example. So I'm going to start with the 2x2 spruce tree farm because this one is personally my favorite. I think it's absolutely awesome. So you would get in this minecart and then just hold down right click like this. And then a spruce tree grows, and you can see it gets pushed over, and it gets pushed into here. And then after a little bit of time, like after the dirt is processed down here, it gets pushed in, and now starts the sawmill. You can see that this double piston extender pushes the wood in this way, and we have a flying machine that is pushed down, which slowly pushes all of the blocks into a 2 wide stream, and then this merges it here into a 1 wide stream, and this flying machines go from the top and bottom because of push limit. They're then pushed into this stream and then into the blast chamber. And after the flying machines get back, you can start another cycle again. Now, I'll show it off one more time so I can show you what happens with the dirt. As you can see, this moss is converted, and it slowly gets pushed through here and into this little insane amounts of confusingness of observers, and gets pushed up into here and merges and goes into the blast chamber. Now at the bottom down here, I actually do have an option where you can sit here and mine the pod soul, the incoming pod soul. I haven't used it yet, and I'm concerned about the stone that can make it through every once in a while. But you would usually just sit here and hold down left click with a shovel, and it would mine it, and then it would go into a water stream. Now I'm going to show off the universal tree farm. This one I'm not going to do too much on because Ilmango has a video on it, and he explains it way better than I do. So this farm is pretty straightforward. You basically just crouch and then right click with a sapling, and it does what every other tree farm does. Breaks the leaves, drops the saplings, pushes it in, and then you can see they get compressed into a 1 block stream and pushed into, you guessed it, the blast chamber. Now these mushroom farms I think are some of the most satisfying farms on the server. Basically you just need to place a mushroom, place it down, it grows, and then you have a flying machine slowly shredded into like 1 block streams. I think it looks so nice. Oh, so nice. And then we also have the red mushroom farm, and this one is basically exactly the same, but is designed different because, surprisingly enough, red mushrooms look different than brown mushrooms. So we grow it. These pistons push the blocks in, and then this pushes it into this block chain, which pushes it down and into a nice strip that goes to a blast chamber. This one I don't find as satisfying because it's harder to see what's going on, but I mean, you can just look down here, it's like chaos. I barely even know what's going on. Over here we have the bone meal farm, which is quite laggy, so I apologize for any laggy video. But basically the way this works is that we have a double stone generator, which pushes the stone up into this platform, and then these dispensers bone meal this moss, which spreads the moss, and then all the moss gets composted down there. The bone meal comes up here and it goes over the dispensers so they could refill the farm, and then any extras are sent out this way and into the tree farming districts, which fill up the farms that need them. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail because Ilmango already has a way more detailed video on this on his channel. Now lastly, we have the Nether tree farm, and it's, I guess you could say, pretty crude. Basically, we have, well, this is a little complex. We have a differing height TNT duping setup so it can blow up most of the tree and lose as least items as possible. But the way this works is that this big flying, once a tree grows, this big flying machine piston wall will just push everything over. And these dispensers down here, what they do is they bone meal the nylium, and until they get a mushroom to grow, which is detected by a drop in bone meal count, it will keep doing that cycle until the tree grows, and once the tree grows, it sends the flying machine. Now, what I meant by detect a bone meal drop, what I mean is all of these hoppers are filled with bone meal, and the only time bone meal will be used is if a tree is grown. And if the bone meal right here is dropped by 1, the signal strength would change, allowing a signal to go through, and then it would detect that the tree is grown. And if you want the warped version of the nether trees, you can just switch it out in these barrels. We have some warped nylium here, you switch it out and you can get the blue wood instead. So yeah, that about wraps up the tree farming district, but we did do something else in the perimeter as well. As you may recognize, this looks extremely different from the previous episode, and that's because we redid the entire thing. It's completely different. So we redid the design, the flooring, and everything like that. But the best part is the way you can turn on and off farms, at least in my opinion. So I changed it so you could turn on and off farms by just tapping the note block in front of it. The lights will turn on and it'll indicate that the farm is on. Now this wasn't extremely complicated. It's basically just a bunch of and gates. The one notable thing about this though is that I have these 2 4-tick repeaters here. This allows it so you can't spam it and it would like break the farms, turning them on and off. The light might indicate wrong if you spam it, but the farm won't break. And in my eyes, that's worth it. I also incorporated more shulker box storage, and because before we were running off like no shulker boxes, now we have an automated system over here. Now I crafted a bunch of shulker boxes up, threw them inside of these chests, and every day, every Minecraft day, this dayline sensor is triggered. The shulker boxes are then sent up into the system and they wrap around, and they go over all of the hoppers, which lead into these dispensers, and these dispensers are the dispensers that are triggered when a shulker box is filled with items, so it can place a new empty one down. The best way to show this is looking in this chest. These are all empty shulker boxes. They were automatically filled with dirt from our spruce tree farm, and they were replenished over time by this little system here by going into that dispenser, that hopper over there. Now, I have been AFKing the tree farms a little bit, as we have about 1 million spruce logs stored. A little bit under, but about 1 million spruce logs. I have a double chest of birch wood. I haven't AFK'd too long. Now, the reason I haven't AFK'd the birch logs too much recently is because when we updated to 1.19.2, the server started crashing quite often, and it made it very, very difficult to AFK tree farms because they tend to break when things get unloaded at the wrong time. So I stopped AFKing it nearly as much, so we don't have nearly as much of birch wood, but we should be able to survive with spruce wood for a while. Another farm I AFK'd a lot of was the warped stem farm. We have a lot of that, and we have a good amount of the red ones, not nearly as much, and we also have a ridiculous quantity of nether wart blocks, like so much you would never use it. It's too much. But we do have like a lifetime supply of shroom lights. But with that, I think I'm gonna wrap up the video here. A lot of work has gone into making this video. This took a ridiculous amount of time to do, but I'm extremely happy with the way it came out. In the next episode, I think I'm gonna be working on a gold farm and a bartering setup. We've needed this for a very long time, so I think it's finally time to get it done. But yeah, besides that, see ya.